pro-vac movement promoting conversations about vaccine safety. While in a busy emergency department, the paediatric consultant discovers that a 16-month-old toddler is completely unimmunised. She has a conversation with the mother who expressed that she doesn't believe in vaccinations.
Are Matthias' vaccinations up to date?
No, they're not.
Okay, so which ones has he not had?
Matthias hasn't received any of his vaccinations.
All right. And is that something you would like to talk about today?
Well, I'm sure I've heard it all before.
I appreciate you may have had this conversation with other healthcare professionals, but would you be happy to tell me why you chose not to vaccinate Matthias?
Myself and his father just don't believe that he would benefit from any of the vaccinations. There are lots of things in the vaccines that we believe that you don't tell us about. We do our best to keep him healthy. And you know, when he was younger, I breastfed him and we eat good food, and we just don't want any chemicals being put into his body. And Matthias has a really good immune system, so it's naturally better for him to fight off the infections rather than being exposed to bugs and chemicals after each vaccination.
Now, I'm very glad to hear that you breastfed him, and that's the best start you can ever give your child. And yes, of course, breastfeeding does offer good amount of immunity. Also, I'm glad to hear that Matthias has a very good and healthy, balanced diet.
Exactly. Having a good diet helps him naturally build up the strength to fight off the infection. So we just don't want any chemicals, any viruses, any bugs being put into his body.
Okay. Now, would you be happy for me to just tell you a little bit about our immunization schedule and just some things about what a vaccine is?
I suppose so.
Thank you. So the immunization schedule is very thoughtfully prepared to offer the best protection to the most vulnerable population as early as possible. Now, from listening to your concerns, I hear you say that, is it going to overload his immune system, giving him too many vaccines together?
Well, yes, because he doesn't get lots of diseases at the same time. So why would you put bugs and chemicals into his body at once? I mean, surely it would overwhelm his body. And then how is he meant to fight them off?
Okay. No, I can understand where you're coming from there. But a vaccine is prepared in a very clever way to offer a tiny, tiny part of the infection or the bug presented to our own immune system. And what it does is that it primes the immune system to produce a response so that if and when the real infection or bug does attack a person, the immune system is good and ready to fight it off. And that's what prevents the infection to be a severe form of infection and helps the person stay healthy. And that's how a vaccine works.
Surely he wouldn't need multiple vaccinations at the one time. I mean, the vaccination schedule here is much different than in the States. And to be honest, there are so many vaccines, I just don't know if they're all safe.
Yes, and I understand your concern is very valid. And to be honest, each one of us, including little children, are exposed to thousands and thousands of bugs and infections around us at all the time. And the immune system is actually quite strong to look out for itself and fight off as much as it can. Now, giving vaccines, even giving 10 vaccines together, can only challenge the immune system to less than 1 in 1,000th. And therefore, it's actually better to get the vaccines together, because by giving the vaccines separately, you are delaying the injections, which in turn leave the child or young person more vulnerable to these infections that you're in the first place trying to ward off.
Well, now I'm just worried about believing that because you're the one that wants me to get him vaccinated.
Yes, now I do understand that you have concerns and you do have worries, and certainly within the constraints of time, we can't continue the conversation. But what I would like to do is give you my contact details, and I would also like to offer you some written information about vaccines and vaccine safety. And I would also like to point you out towards certain important websites. And remember, if you do decide to vaccinate, it's never too late to vaccinate. And your GPs are well aware of a catch-up schedule, so do contact your GP. And I am more than happy to have further conversations with you at your convenience.
Okay, yes, thank you.